Hey guys, it's Esme with another SPFBO 8 review. I hope I can get through this because my battery on my phone is dying. So this is going to be for The Umbral Storm by Alec Hutson. And so I've read books by him before and I enjoyed them. Mahir over at Fantasy Book Critic loves this book and talks about it all the time. So I went into this with really high expectations, and I would definitely agree with Mahir that this is going to be for people who love classic epic fantasy, for people who enjoy Brent Weeks and Brandon Sanderson, particularly if they enjoy the world building and the magic system. So this is a really intense magic system that's categorized, has rules, regulations, and it feels very Brandon Sanderson-y. So it starts out with two main POVs, and they become intertwined, and they stay that way basically through the whole book. So we have Darren and Heth, and at the beginning you're not supposed to like Heth at all. So Darren is an indentured servant, and Heth is the slave owner's son. So although Darren is not technically a slave, he's treated just like them, and he lives in a group of slaves out in the middle of fucking nowhere. From the feel of the book, I think they're out in the woods, maybe on the coast, and there's basically nobody there except for them. And so Heth has lived this life of luxury. He's had servants. His father treats him as the heir that he is. Um, and the book opens with him whipping the shit out of Darren, almost to the brink of death, and not getting in a fight, using an actual whip with hooks on the end that just eviscerates his back. So we have this very black and white opening with these two, and you're definitely not supposed to like Heth. And even reading from his points of view, he's very arrogant, he's very self-centered, and it takes a long time for him to get better. So his redemption arc is a big part of this story. He does eventually get better. I was hoping for him just to fucking die in the beginning because he was just I was not enjoying his chapters. He's just such an asshole. He's so entitled, and he's just a backstabber, and he's just the worst at the beginning. And honestly, that made it a little bit of a struggle because I hated him so much, and because these two are basically journeying together, it's not like his chapters were much different than Darren's. So Darren is, like I said, the indentured servant, and he has pretty bad backstory. His mom had mental health issues. She made everyone around them uncomfortable. It was difficult for her to find work, and so he ended up being an indentured servant for a few years. But she didn't even live through that. She committed suicide. And so he's been left alone in that colony of indentured servants with Heth, his father, and a whole bunch of people with varying levels of moral integrity. So, and then a sharded view comes to that camp, and shit goes down. So, from there, this is such a long book. I don't know where the spoilers begin, because I feel like that's the very, very beginning of the book, but it could also be 100 pages in. This is a long book, and I did feel the length a little bit. So my high marks are absolutely going to be for the world building. So the sharded view they remind me of the shard bearers in Brandon Sanderson's books. So once you get these shards, you can do all sorts of different sorts of magic. So there's the flame shards and the soul shards and the shadow shards, and there's so many of them, and they all do different things, and they're all it's all progressive. So it's almost like an Andrew Rowe book, if you enjoy sufficiently advanced magic kind of stuff. So like I said, this has a lot of broad appeal. I understand why it has such high ratings. I definitely understand why it's done so well for itself, why it's a finalist. I think my biggest contention is I just never came around to Heth, and I was supposed to, and I didn't fully. But that's also me and redemption arcs. I can love them, or they just don't work. And so Heth just didn't. I didn't ever really totally get behind him, which was probably my biggest issue, with my second issue being pacing. The writing and the world building was great. I loved Darren as a character. I just yeah, the reason why I'm not going to drop like an 8.5 or a 9 for this is because of the pacing and because of me personally not liking him. So I think this has a ton of broad appeal. I definitely recommend picking it up. The final score for this one is going to be a 7.75, which I'm rounding up to an 8 for SPFBO purposes. I'm trying to keep these faster, so I'm at 5.5 minutes, and I think I've said everything I need to say. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll update you guys if Kristen reads this and gives us a score. If not, this is going to be the final score of an 8, so we'll see. Thank you!